Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. My name is Don Wick. I'm a member of the Skagit League of Women Voters. And welcome to tonight's Sedro-Woolley's Candidate Forum. We appreciate all of you being here. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization which encourages informed and active participation in government. Tonight's forum is part of our ongoing voter education effort to help voters make informed decisions for the upcoming election. We hope you learn more about the candidates tonight through their statements and replies to questions. Other ways to learn about candidates are in the Skagit County Voters Pamphlet. There's some here tonight. Candidates' websites and articles and interviews in the local press. I will now turn the meeting over to our moderator. Let's hear it for Chris Litton. Yes.
Welcome, everyone. That was a great intro, Don. So we are here tonight to hear from our candidates and welcome. All candidates for the general election were contacted and invited to attend. I will start by explaining some procedures for the forum. Each candidate is invited to make an opening and closing statement of 1.5 minutes, and will have a 1.5 minute to answer each of the questions. We'll rotate the order of the responses by the candidates. The timekeepers are sitting in the first row. The timekeepers will indicate when there are 30 seconds remaining. Janet? Thank you. And then when 10 seconds are remaining to finish your answer. And then please wrap up when you see the stop sign. If you continue speaking after the stop card is held up, I'll just say thank you and we'll move on to the next speaker. Personal references about candidates are out of order. Please turn off your cell phones now, and please no recording of the candidates during the forum. Please remain quiet throughout the forum. No clapping, cheering, or calling out, with the exception that after their closing statements, you may clap for all the candidates. No campaign literature, signs, or anything like that are allowed in the room. We're going to start with the candidates for Hospital District 304, Commissioner Position 5. Ellen DeYoung and Jermaine Cornegay, if you want to. Where's Jermaine? Oh, there you are. Okay, opening statements. You have 1.5 minutes for your opening statement, and we'll begin with Ellen DeYoung.
Good evening, and I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for having this forum. It's really important to know who you're voting for, and sometimes, even in a small community, that cannot be evident. So it's good to be here so we can all get together, even if it's in the middle of the Mariners game, that I have watched every single game of the playoffs since today, but I'm handling it well. My name is Ellen DeYoung. I'm first-most family practice doctor for the last 37 years. I have practiced all kinds of medicine. I've been your primary care doctor. I've been your urgent care doctor. I've been your hospice doctor. I delivered 3,000 babies. I've worked on in my own practice down in Tumwater for 21 years. I worked on the Navajo Reservation for another 5. I've been on medical missions in Africa and South America. I've done a lot in medicine. But I've also been the managing partner of our family practice of 10 physicians and 3 mid-level practitioners. I had to hire and fire. I had to make sure we had cash flow. And so I have experience in many different parts of medicine. Therefore, I decided it was time to do something different when I retired. And that's why I volunteered to run for hospital commission.
Thank you. Jermaine Cornegay for your opening statement.
Hi there. I wanted to say, first of all,
Your microphone.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to say, first of all, go Mariners, and second, happy birthday to my daughter, graduate of Sedro-Woolley High School. She's turning 34 today. And good evening. I'm Jermaine Cornegay, small business owner of 30 years, a community volunteer for 3 decades, and a graduate in human services from Western Washington University in human services and psychology. For 30 years, I've served with 30 nonprofits here locally. For 30 years, about 30 nonprofits. That includes United Way of Skagit County and Secret Harbor Foster Care Agency Boys and Girls Club, because I've always believed in strong communities. That's one reason why I'm running for Hospital District 304 Commissioner. Our district is different. There are only 5 like it in our entire county, or in our entire state. One is actually in Arlington, I just found out today, that runs like ours. Peace Health runs the hospital operations. United General runs 55 prevention and wellness programs, like Farm to School, Trek for Treasure, Senior Yoga, suicide prevention trainings, and I've attended every commission meeting and participate in these programs myself. I'm running to protect them because they work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move to the question and answer portion of the forum. You'll have 1.5 minutes for each question. First question, what is your understanding of the role that commissioners in Hospital District 304 play in securing grant funding? And we'll start with Jermaine Cornegay.
Okay. So first of all, we have a grant writer. We have Carol Hawk, who is C something other, C-O-E or anyway, she writes the grants and she reports to us what's going on with it. She reports to the commission what's going on with the grants, and they report that in this impact report. They report how many grants they're getting every year. Most of our funding does come from grants. About 55% of our funding comes from grants. Those grants are from local businesses, foundations. Some of those grants actually come from Peace Health, which is really nice because they get really nice rent. And if you haven't seen this, they actually had this at the library, and it actually covers the grant in here. The grants actually cover 55 of the programs, and some of those programs are funding themselves, like Trek for Treasure. That was a pretty big one. That one actually funds itself. There's only a few of these programs that actually cost money. Most of these programs are free. There's the classes that I've actually participated in, like the QPR, the suicide prevention, the Narcan for drug overdoses. All those programs are free. Some of those, if they're not covered by grants, then we have to pay for them with our tax dollars. Thank you.
Ellen DeYoung, same question.
In fact, our hospital district is fortunate enough to have a good grant writer because we are primarily covered for all these programs by the grants. The problem with grants is that at least half of that 60% come from the federal and the state. And some of these places, like the FDA and the CDC, as we all know, they're losing funding and they're losing people in positions. And so even though we have grants now, we don't know what the future holds. So we have to be really careful with what we have and where we're going. We can't just continue to write grants the way we've been done in the past and expect the people down the street or Peace Health to pay for our programs. We don't want to raise taxes. So we need to find other ways to get new grant people, new that are willing to give us money, to develop new people to ask, and to make sure that we just don't sit on our hind legs and see what passes us by. So grant writers are important, grant funding is important, things are going to change.
Okay, thank you. Next question. What are the most significant challenges facing our hospital district in the coming years? How do you propose to address them? And we'll start with Ellen DeYoung.
Okay. So funding is our biggest issue. We are very lucky. We have a contract with Peace Health. It has been very beneficial to them as well as to us. They run all the hospital services that we need and that we use, and they've made money from this position. The problem is that with changing of funding of Medicare and losing of first SNAP benefits for food, and soon Medicaid funding within a year, they may not be so happy with us because they are forced by federal rules to see all people who walk through the door. And when they're not paid by the federal government through Medicaid, they will not be doing so well. So we need to keep an eye on not only what we can raise, but what Peace Health is making and how they're doing. We need to be aware of whether or not they are still so friendly with us. So no, we don't have any control over that. We can't step in and say you're doing things wrong, but we definitely can be aware. And that's really important for us because we want that hospital to run and we want things to be here for our seniors and for our community. And in my experience in healthcare, it doesn't always happen the way you want.
Thank you. Jermaine Cornegay, same question.
Funding is a big issue, but that would only apply to our programs. Our commission will not have anything to do with Medicare and Medicaid. The fitness center actually, if you have a membership there, you can get discounts if you have Medicaid, but otherwise, it is not really connected to what United General does. The funding is an issue, but our community always steps up. Actually, I just went to the hospice gala a few weekends ago, and they raised more money than they have in a long time. They raised $325,000, and they didn't even sell the big fancy car that was there, but maybe next year.
Okay, thank you. Next question. How will you prioritize the hospital district's financial health, particularly with potential cuts to Medicaid, while ensuring continued access to quality care for all residents? And we'll start with Jermaine Cornegay.
Can you repeat that question? Sorry.
Yeah. How will you prioritize the hospital district's financial health, particularly with potential cuts to Medicaid, while ensuring continued access to quality care for all residents?
Okay. First of all, when I first started going to these council meetings in the beginning of the year, that was one of the first questions I asked was, what about this funding because of all the cuts that I was hearing about? And they assured me that things would be fine, that they had plans A, B, and C, and it looked like they were fine to me when I looked at the budget. I know that things happen all the time, and the only thing that I can hear the last few meetings that I've been to is that some of the grants, we don't know if those grants are going to appear or not. They've been promised, but you just really don't know until the check is in hand. So that's the only thing I can think of, but anyways, I feel pretty confident when I go to the meetings that they know what they're doing. Thank you.
Ellen Young.
I beg to differ with my competitor. Medicare and Medicaid do have quite a bit to do with us. We cannot control what Peace Health does, but we signed the contract with Peace Health. We have to make sure they're honoring the contract that they have, even if they're not making money on it. We have to know that they're going to continue this contract because it comes up in 3 or 4 years and we can't be caught waiting. And so therefore, we have to be alert to what's going on, listen to what Peace Health is saying and what they're not saying. The programs for 304 are important. Those are grant written. Those are the ones that we can have impact with donations. The services that Peace Health offers come from Peace Health in this contract. But I don't believe that they are bound completely by what was signed, because I've seen healthcare mergers occur. I've seen people walk away from contracts they've signed, healthcare providers. And so I think that we have to be not only worried about the programs, but concerned that we're getting our services through the contract that we signed.
Okay, thank you. Next question. How will you engage the community to understand their healthcare concerns and their needs? And we will start with Ellen DeYoung.
That is really important. And I was really surprised when I did see that booklet that Jermaine has. It's a lovely booklet. It hasn't gotten out widely enough. I don't know why it wasn't mailed to every household. It's very easy to read. It outlines everything that's there. We might have to have open houses so that people really understand what else is offered there in the district. Communication is important. Publication is important. There has been quite a bit on Facebook, which is wonderful, with publication of what's available. And I think that needs to continue. And I think that we may have to set up a question and answer desk, because people need to understand what's covered by what and what's not covered. And that is going to be an ongoing effort over the next 4 years.
Okay, thank you. Jermaine Cornegay, same question.
Actually, as I go to the doors, because I've been out campaigning, I talk to the people, and I am engaging and getting a lot of great questions from people who are mostly really confused about what our district does. And so I feel like it's been my job to kind of educate people on the fact that Peace Health is the hospital, and United General basically is the landlord for the hospital and then runs the programs. So this has been really helpful. I actually found this at the library. When I went to the last meeting, they said that they've mailed this out, but they promised that they're going to be mailing these out from here on out. And it is really amazing. And I did find it at the library. I've seen them a couple of other places, but I know for sure that I got this one from the library. And it has like every detail in there about every program, all the pillars, all the 6 pillars, and all of the things that are under there. And I've actually been going to the doors doing that myself. When I was at Cascade Days, I saw United General in the parade, and they actually were doing a lot to educate people there. I have seen them at Berry Dairy Days. They had a booth there. So they've been doing a really good job at getting the word out about what they do lately. More and more. They did have the philosophy before of not taking credit for the programs and trying to let people let these programs have their own say. But now they've been taking lead.
Thank you. We're going to move to the closing statements. You got a minute and a half, and we'll start with Jermaine Cornegay.
Already?
Already.
So, okay. When I walk into United General meetings, I leave smiling. It reminds me why I spent my life in service to this community. I've been here 3 decades, raising my daughter, Jasmine, who is a Sedro-Woolley High School graduate, running a business, volunteering nearly every corner of this county. I've worked alongside farmers, foster parents, veterans, small business owners, people who keep this place running. As a commissioner, I will continue the legacy of those who came before me, ensuring that District 304's 55 program stays strong and that taxpayer dollars go directly to the people who need them most. I will show up because I always do. And I'll never forget health begins long before a hospital visit in our schools, our farms, and our trails, and in our homes. I'm Jermaine Cornegay, and I'm asking for your vote because health is more than just hospitals.
Thank you. Ellen DeYoung for a closing statement.
I want to thank the League of Women Voters and all of you for coming out today. It's, once again, important to know the differences between us so you can make a good vote for you. I want to have you remember that United General and the hospital district is the lifeline for many of our neighbors, our seniors, our babies, and we have to do everything we can to be on guard that we don't lose funding like they are losing it in rural hospitals in Eastern Washington and in other places. I feel less complacent than my opponent. I feel more worried that the times they are changing, and I promise to work as hard as I can to make sure that we don't have to even look at taxes as a source of revenue. But in order to do that, we need to go beyond what we've been doing in the past. We need to make sure that the programs that we're offering are successful. We need to make sure our people can get to them. We need to make sure Peace Health is doing their job so that we can continue to have a healthy community. Thank you, and I graciously ask for your vote.
Thank you, candidates. Let's give them a round of applause. Okay.
Nice job, Ellen.
Okay, we are going to call up panel 2, which are the council candidates, Nicholas Lavaca, Kay Stewart, Sarah Diamond, Nora Peterson, Joe Burns, and Carl DeYoung. And you'll have to wait until Susie gets the name tense out. So slow your roll. Okay.
Eli from preschool to go do it, and he really enjoyed helping me with the zip ties.
Yeah, zip ties.
He didn't figure out they worked yet.
Woody, can you hear me?
Somebody has a hot mic if you turn off your microphone. Oh, is that it? Okay. My apologies. I think we got everybody. Okay, we are going to start with opening statements. You have a minute and a half to answer, and we'll start with Nicholas Lavaca.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for having us. Thanks for creating this forum. This is really cool to see so many people come out, get engaged in the community. Hopefully it stirs up more votes. We didn't see a good turnout during the primary. So my name, again, is Nicholas Lavaca. I've been on the council for 4 years now. I actually sit in this seat right here, which is kind of convenient. And I've had a blast. It's been quite the learning experience for me. I have been in the community for well over 14 years, 15 years, but my mom and stepdad lived here back in 2000. I would come in and we would do Christmases and enjoy it. So I just fell in love with it, and it's been a tremendous blessing for me and my wife. And we've really grown here, and we enjoy that. Right now I work at a local company, Janicki Industries. It's given me a lot of opportunity to grow. Started there through a temporary work agency and have moved my way up through the position. So hard work is definitely needed, and it's something that's there. Also, I just, being on the council, have learned a lot about being in the council. One of the biggest things that I learned during first joining in, Sarah Diamond actually told me, well, what does it mean to be on the council, and what does the council do after I got elected? And I thought about that, and she pointed out the infrastructure and the common sense of keeping the lights on and the water running. And I always kind of considered, yes, we have a particular job here, and it's super important. So I want to thank you guys. That's who I am, and I enjoy being here.
Okay. Kay Stewart has a statement in the voters pamphlet. Due to unforeseen circumstances, I am currently unable to run. I would like to express my gratitude to everyone for their support. And moving on, next candidate is Sarah Diamond. She submitted a statement. Due to a prior commitment, I'm unable to attend this evening's forum. I appreciate the League for allowing me to share this statement. Sedro-Woolley is growing quickly, and managing that growth responsibly is one of the biggest challenges. I support balanced development and affordable housing that meet community needs without placing extra burdens on existing residents. I also work to balance the mandates coming from Olympia with what's right for Sedro-Woolley. As we plan for new housing, we must also take seriously the risk our community faces from flooding and potential dam failure along the Skagit River. Sedro-Woolley is my home. I graduated from Sedro-Woolley High School and am raising fourth-generation Sedro-Woolley daughters. My grandfather opened his law office here in 1951, and that business still operates on Metcalf Street today. I've supported local organizations and businesses and coached our youth. I'm also a member of Sedro-Woolley Village Tribe in Alaska, and that connection gives me the long-term perspective and deep respect for the tribes we share this region with. It's been an honor to serve the City Council since 2021 and as Mayor Pro Tem in 2022 and 2024. I've worked to protect our tax dollars by voting against unnecessary taxes, supported housing and infrastructure that help families in need, and backed key public safety initiatives, like creating K-9 unit for the police department at no cost to taxpayers and expanding our sidewalk repair and replacement program. I care deeply about Sedro-Woolley and will keep working to make it a safer, stronger, and more affordable place for everyone. Thank you for your trust. It would be an honor to earn your vote once again. And now we will move on to Nora Peterson for a 1.5-minute opening statement.
Okay, how's that for the mic? Good. I wanted to thank everyone for being here and especially thank the League of Women Voters for putting this event together. This is a really important thing to do here in our community, and it's especially important for me as a new candidate. You know, I've been going out, campaigning, trying to get the word out about you know, my values, my approach to leadership, and my background and experience in public service. So I really appreciate that opportunity here. I was born and raised in the Skagit Valley, and I've built a career over the last 10 plus years in local government, working in community development and planning, and also government finance. What I see here in Sedro-Woolley is a city that's really growing rapidly. We need leaders who can guide the city to achieve smart and stable growth that works for all who call Sedro-Woolley home. I see a twofold challenge there. First, we really need to maximize our use of existing funding. 30 seconds. The people of Sedro-Woolley aren't just paying city taxes, we're also paying state and federal tax, and we need to make sure that our leadership is going out and recapturing our fair share of state and federal funding to bring that back and meet our community needs here locally. The other thing I see is, you know, a mayor and city staff that's doing really great work to achieve our community vision, but they need more support. They need consistent and engaged leadership to follow through and really get things done.
Thank you. Joe Burns.
As the current council member for Ward 6, I'm proud of the work we've done. During my time on the council, we've been fiscally responsible, balancing a budget and managing our reserve funds wisely. I voted to create the Police K-9 program, helped secure 8 more firefighters, and supported the staffing needs of our police. Sedro-Woolley is now the 2nd safest city in the state of Washington. I championed the renovations of Memorial Park, replacing the aging playground, adding picnic shelters, and a splash pad for kids to enjoy. This year we broke ground on Olmsted Park. It will feature walking trails connected to Northern State, an ADA-accessible fishing dock, picnic shelters, and more. Phase 2 will bring further amenities. I've stood against a proposed battery energy storage facility and will continue to stand up for our community. I'm the only sitting council member who has traveled to Olympia to lobby on your behalf, taking time from my day job to advocate for the funding and laws that benefit our city. As chairman of the Business Development Committee, I helped organize roundtable discussions with business owners and organizations to better understand how we can strengthen our economy. One result was the Business Development Grant Program, using federal funds to help local businesses improve their storefronts. And it's working. Our community is looking better, and other businesses are following their lead. I look forward to continuing the work of planning for our city's bright future, and I want to thank all of you for being here.
Thank you. Carl DeYoung for an opening statement.
Thank you to the Skagit League of Women Voters and to you all for participating in democracy tonight. I'm Carl DeYoung, and let's talk about it. Let's talk about taxes. I won't use loopholes to raise property taxes above 1%. If the city needs more, the people must vote on it. Transparency. In 60 days, I'll post a monthly checkbook. That's probably upside down. I'm not in distress. So have the money in, the top 10 expenses, and the cash on hand, just like we do it at home. Housing. I support letting people build duplexes and triplexes near schools, stores, and bus stops when they follow the normal rules. No extra hearings. Faster permits. Let's set a 120-day permit clock. If we miss it, your permit fee is refunded. Backyard homes. An 18-month permit-free holiday for ADUs that equal or less than 800 square feet. Let's make this a pilot program with a hard sunset, and let's evaluate at the midpoint at 9 months. Basics first. By July 1st of every year, we need to post a paving map so you know each streets get fixed and when. Energy projects. Clean power built by local skilled labor. No on the GoldenEye at this site.
Thank you.
No Bess mess.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the question and answer portion. The same, a minute and a half. First question. Do you think Sedro-Woolley's Main Street downtown is healthy and successful? If not, what would you do to change that? And we'll start with Nora Peterson.
As part of my campaign, I've been going around and kind of meeting the neighbors in Ward 3, going door to door, asking people, what issues are important to them, what about the city do they love, and what do they think needs to change. And the beauty of the downtown and the small town feel is one of those things that our community really loves. I'd say that's a key part of our community vision. And to say that people love it doesn't mean that it's perfect the way it is. There's improvements that can be made. There's a grant program that Joe was just talking about. I'd like to see more projects like that. And I think it's possible to, like I said before, I think it's possible to go out and recapture our fair share of state and federal funding and make sure that's coming back into our community to support the things that we love, like our downtown.
Okay, thank you. Joe Burns, same question.
Thank you. Well, the Community Development Grant Program that the council had approved helped take us a couple steps in the right direction. We had storefronts getting cleaned up, paint going up, cleaning being done. There's still more work that we need to see done in downtown, and it will continue to be that way because as you fix one thing, something else might come up. I would love to see us doing more pressure washing on sidewalks. The flower baskets are spectacular. I can't tell you how many relatives who've come here and said something positive about the way the downtown looks when they glance at it. I'd love to see more storefronts full. We're improving, but as we help draw in more businesses and make this a more friendly place for them to be, for their families to live, it will help us build that momentum, and we will generate more sales tax revenue from it. That means that the city is able to do more. We aren't raising property taxes on people because that's not something I ever want us to do. When you drive over to Burlington and spend your dollars, that's where the sales tax dollars go. When you spend them right here in Sedro-Woolley, they stay in our community, and they help us do more things to improve it, and it snowballs, and we become a better and better place to live. And so that's what I would like to see us continue to work towards. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl DeYoung, same question.
I have and currently own a small business. So I have experience with employees. I have experience in writing those checks. Sometimes those checks are bigger than what my check is, but that's the responsibility of being a business owner. The Central Business District has vacancies, and that is a blight upon Sedro-Woolley, and we must address it. I think we need to make our case known with our business and occupation taxes. Just to occupy a business or to say, I have a business, you're immediately taxed. And that is an area that can be looked at through a microscope and sharpen our pencils on, and we need to advocate at every level. Thank you, Skagit County Commissioners, for being here tonight. I also think we should be down in Olympia on a regular basis with our legislative priorities, talking about business and occupation tax as something that is a barrier to entry, especially for small businesses that need brick and mortar space. as we build out our ADUs and build out our duplexes and triplexes around transit-oriented development, that brings in a more demographic that wants to spend locally. So let's use that as the pincer movement to lower those taxes on B&O and to get more people here to buy things locally. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicholas Lavaca, same question.
Thank you. Yeah, downtown is beautiful. Anybody who's been down there in springtime or during the 4th of July rodeo at the parade, Christmas parades, and the way the tree is lit up, downtown is beautiful. There are some improvements that can be done in the downtown district, such as the murals that fit our themes, things like that. That would be more of a business deal, and we could support those areas, but we want to see those businesses thrive. We've got locals who just recently started up down there and moved shop because they expanded. West Coast Dumplings is just moved in. They're very successful, delicious dumplings and food, and just wonderful people downtown. If you go through the businesses, each and every one of them got a great attitude, and they're just looking for a fighting chance. So I would say if there's a way to pull back some of the regulations, I've heard complaints about a sticker on the window needing to be reviewed and permitted, things like that. One of the businesses, locals, had a hard time with their grand opening because they didn't have the health department permit up and running. So that was a challenge. And so making sure that we have those guys set up. Downtown expands farther, though. Downtown goes towards that railroad trestle. I had an idea for archways down there. That was a pretty great idea. A lot of people wanted to see that. Maybe we can see that happen on both sides of that in the future. Ideas to continue to fix the ports coming in, all of those areas where we have fencing or needing to improve the visual side of that and draw more people in for them downtown. Retail business is one of our businesses. It's not all of our business, but it's a very important side of our business.
Okay. Next question. If you could change one thing in our zoning code, what would it be and why? And we will start with Joe Burns.
One of the things I've advocated for in our zoning is not having extremely dense areas be large. If you're going to zone for an apartment building, there should not be large clusters of apartment buildings that are zoned in one place. Zoning should be spread out throughout the town in ways that help us make sure that we are not just responsible in our growth, but ensuring we keep a healthy community. Studies have shown that children who grow up in households, like latchkey children like I grew up, who maybe live in an apartment building and don't have neighbors around with that cookie cutter family, the 9 to 5, or the mom that's home, if they don't have that there, it changes their outcome in life and actually decreases their chances of going to higher education, to holding a stable job, to becoming a productive member of our society. And so if we ensure that we are cautious about the way that we zone and plan, and we space out these larger projects, allowing more neighborhoods to infill between them, then that will let us be more responsible long-term and ensure that we keep that second safest city badge for a lot longer.
Thank you. Carl DeYoung, same question.
Type 2 short plat. So that is by design. It should be something that I talked about in my opener. It's if they follow the rules at the beginning, that it does not need to go before a commissioner, doesn't need to go before the planning commission, it doesn't need extra process. Let's get those that middle housing built and built correctly so we can keep our small town charm, our small town feel, our quality of life that's here. And that is what I would immediately focus on with zoning. Thank you.
Nicholas Lavaca, same question.
Thank you. So, yeah, that's a challenging question right there. We have our city strategic plan meeting that we had in the council as a workshop, and all the council agreed we don't want to see huge densification projects built in rows. And that can create crime, it can create not knowing your neighbor, it creates a lot of challenges. So having them spread out through the community. But with this current comp plan, they're asking from Olympia for us to put up 741 homes or make a way for that to happen, most likely through subsidies of taxes in the 0 to 30% AMI. And so what that means is we have to put up 37 homes a year or figure out a way to write that into our comp plan, or Olympia is going to be upset and sue us like they did, or we'd get sued like what happened at Mercer Island and various places like that. And then the purse strings are withheld and we no longer got the grants for the roads. So we have serious issues to look at when it comes to zoning and the comp plan that is currently on our table. That is one of those issues, and I wish that people understood those big giant steps that are in front of us. We need to figure out a way to overcome those challenges. We do have low-income families we need to find ways to help out. We also have a community that has more than enough homes to provide for it. They asked for about a little over 2,000 homes or 1,900 homes. We have about 2,100 homes, but they're not meeting that ratio. So it does make it challenging to figure out those dynamics. It takes a body of people. It's not going to be one zoning change or one decision at this meeting, but it is something that's on the docket and we all need to discuss and think about together.
Thank you. Nora Peterson, same question.
Could you repeat the question?
I sure
Thanks.
will. If you could change one thing in our zoning code, what would it be and why?
I'd like to see our zoning code promote more mixed-use buildings in our downtown. When I talk to Ward 3 residents, I hear that they really like how accessible the shops and the pharmacy is Ward 3 is the downtown ward. And they really appreciate that. I think there's plenty of room for development downtown if we go with that mixed-use option. And I'd also like to see the city encourage more mixed-income buildings. You know, Nick was talking about the 0 to 30% AMI, and I was looking at some census data last weekend. 20% of the households here in Sedro-Woolley are living on less than $35,000 a year. That's a really significant portion of our population. The average rent in this city is more than $2,000 a month. So that's something that I think we really need to address, and it shouldn't be something that gets siloed. These are people who are part of our community, and I'd like to see that happen in mixed income neighborhoods and buildings.
Thank you. Third question. What people or organizations do you take guidance and advice from? And we'll start with Carl DeYoung.
My wife.
Are you done? Okay, thank you. Sorry. Nicholas Lavaca.
That's awesome. Right on. Yes, I do listen to my wife as well. Leslie, if you're listening. So there's a lot of organizations and people here. Obviously, the businesses weigh in heavily when I'm out there talking to them. We had something where we're going to change the business district zoning, not zoning, but rules. And so we didn't actually see any of them come to a public hearing. So I took that out to each one of them and asked them, what do you think about this? Come to the meeting. Not only that, but, our neighborhoods, going door to door, talking to friends and family who live here. We're such a tight-knit community. We know each other, and we should know each other. We shouldn't have walls and barriers up based upon views or beliefs or ideologies. We should get to know each other more and hear each other out. And so that's what I've been doing, and I bring that back to the council, and hopefully make those decisions wait on that. The council's 7 different people. You have, mechanics and teachers and office professionals and city workers and business owners and retirees and all these different types of people that make up the council. Hopefully, they do a good job representing all those people in the community. If we had a single council body of a specific demographic, we wouldn't represent our community well. So I try and get out, talk to different people in different areas, as well as attend various meetings. And being on the council, of course, I'm able to attend a lot more and hear a bit more of that voice. So it's important, and I hope to continue to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Nora Peterson, same question.
Yeah, when I think about the people and organizations that I would take advice from, I think primarily of the people of Sedro-Woolley, because this is really what our community vision needs to be based on. As part of my campaign, I mentioned that I've been going door to door, meeting the people of Ward 3, asking for their input, what they like about the city, what needs to change, collecting input from across the city and from across the different ways of life we have here in the city. In the food bank, I just visited our homeless shelter earlier this week. I think the people of Sedro-Woolley are really the ones who need to be providing the advice to our city leadership. In terms of organizations, I do think that the city has some really excellent partners, and I think that our city leadership should really engage in those partnerships a little bit more to achieve the vision of the community. And I'm talking about partnerships like North Star Project, the Port, which is right here in town, our local nonprofits, and then also obviously our state and federal partners.
Okay. Joe Burns, same question.
I usually ask myself, who knows the most about this subject, who I can pick their brain and find out good information, and who's going to be affected by this decision? I want to talk to the constituents who are actually going to have to deal with what happens because of the choices that we make, so that I can make informed decisions. And then, of course, like Mr. DeYoung, my wife is my most trusted advisor, and I go and bounce a couple ideas off of her to make sure that I am staying true to my own moral compass, because I want to make sure that I am doing the best I possibly can whenever I'm making a decision up here in the diocese. As Nick said, we all have different backgrounds. We view the world through a different lens. I try to make sure that I can see it through the lens of both the solid knowledge of what's happening and the person who is going to have to deal with what we do. That's what's truly important to me, trying to stick to the values of our community.
Thank you. Okay, last question. Are currently proposed battery farms or proper use of public and private land in Skagit County? Why or why not? And we'll start with Nicholas Lavaca.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that question, too. It's been a big topic here, GoldenEye Bess. I've personally gone out and talked to our representative, Robert Knoll, find out why are we doing this? What is the push? Store energy in battery stations and to provide that back to the grid ongoing, and then that's going to help supplement the energy lost during tight periods. Why do we have tight periods? You said that we had plenty of energy that we needed. Well, we have to cut out all CO-producing fuel source for energy by the end of this year, December 31st, 2025. So we're not going to see that import from Montana and various other places. Well, that's a big challenge. So if we move toward these battery stations, you got to think, is it going to be a challenge if we start building these out and we can't quite service them or maintain them because there's some export issues, some challenges with China getting those refined materials and lithium magnets, stuff like that, into those stations to build them out. So that could pose a very big challenge if our grid goes totally dependent on that. The communities raised various serious concerns, such as it's a risk, it's a fire risk, it's a chemical risk. Also, it's a neighborhood risk. Should it be in those areas? And should they circumvent the community and go straight to Olympia Council and not be able to get the input from the community? So I think it's an important issue. I don't think we should have them in place around our communities. I think a lot of the commissioners are weighing that out. Communities are weighing that out. But there is a substantial cost with these if we go forward. And I've heard both sides, and I happen to agree we shouldn't have them.
Thank you. Nora Peterson, same question.
And the question is this an appropriate use of our...
Are current proposed battery farms a proper use of public and private land in Skagit County? Why or why not?
You know, so I'm thinking specifically of the BESS project that is proposed just adjacent to Sedro-Woolley. And I've heard a lot from our constituents about that. I really think the city council needs to continue to take a stand against environmental hazards like this. BESS is a real threat to our public safety and to our environment. It's really unacceptable in my mind to put a battery bank on our ag lands. it's not a matter in my mind of if, but when we will have a catastrophic disaster if that is put in place, and I'm really concerned about it. I do think that the city is going in the right direction on this topic. I know that they're opposed to that, but I do see a need for additional engaged leadership. The mayor and city staff need more support so that we can build the partnerships that are needed to really protect our community and achieve the results that we need.
Thank you. Joe Burns, same question.
When the representatives for the battery energy storage facility project sat over there and we asked them questions on the council, the first thing I asked is about safety. Is it safe? What are your plans for safety? And the answers that I got were lacking in an extreme way. I did not feel that they were prepared in any way, shape, or form to give me even the most vague idea of what they were going to do to protect our community, to protect the waterway that resides right next to the location that they want to use. I believe that it is a wholly improper location for them to put a battery energy storage facility. I don't think that ag land is the proper place to put such a facility. And when I asked them about the water runoff, they said, oh, we tell firefighters not to put water on these fires. Okay, you're at the edge of a temperate rainforest. So when it's pouring rain on that fire, what are you going to do to catch the water runoff? Crickets. They didn't have a plan. So I will continue to oppose this. The council wrote a letter to the governor, to the FSEC, who's making the decision. The county, thank you commissioners, have supported stopping this project from occurring. They, as well as the tribe, spent a large amount of money helping to restore that creek to salmon-bearing status. So we must continue to try to protect that, and that is the best wedge to drive. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl DeYoung, same question.
I have a white paper. See me afterwards. I'll tell you how to get organized and what to do. I always support clean power built by local skilled workers with apprenticeship utilization. I oppose the siting of the GoldenEye battery at this location where I caught my first fish in Hanson Creek when I was 5. No Bess mess. The incumbent signed a letter, a city group letter. I've personally been organizing, helping neighbors deliver direct testimony and comments with FSEC and the governor. The status of this is with the environmental control, and it's up to the governor at the end. But the city has the bully pulpit to continue to put it part of its legislative agenda, and it needs to hear from you. The city must hear from you that we don't want no Bess mess. You can say it with me. I don't think if I asked anyone in this room to raise their hand who was in support of this project, there'd be one. No Bess mess. We need clear safety rules. We need 1,000-foot buffers from homes and schools, the National Fire Code compliance, independent safety reviewed, paid for by the developer, and an evacuation plan with the fire department, and real local benefits. Thank you. My time is up.
Thank you. We are going to move to closing statements now. You have a minute and a half for your closing statement, and we'll start with Nora Peterson.
Thanks again for being here. For my closing statements, I just want to reiterate a few points. I think I've covered all of these so far, but you know, when I see what's going on in the city, I see we really need more engaged leadership. We need a bottom-up approach that's really listening and understanding the needs of our people. And we need leaders who can stay on track with that community vision, kind of getting that continual input from the community. Because I really hear that we do have kind of a unified community vision here in Sedro-Woolley. It's not really very divided or anything like that. But that engaged leadership is really what is needed to drive real results. We also need to, like I said, maximize our use of existing funding. Like I said before, the people of Sedro-Woolley are paying not just city taxes, but also state and federal taxes, and I'm not seeing us recapture those state and federal funds to receive our fair share of those resources to put back into our community. And then finally, we need to see our elected officials really step up to build partnerships and achieve our community vision. We can't do it alone, and there's no reason to. We can really achieve smart and stable growth that benefits all who call Sedro-Woolley home.
Thank you. Joe Burns.
My wife and I have 2 boys we're raising right here in Woolley. For the past 9 years, I was the automotive shop foreman at Doyle Guffey's Rally Auto Sales, and now I've started a new chapter as the high school auto shop teacher. I've supported our first responders, and I am honored to be endorsed by former Police Chief Lynn Tucker. I've stood for fiscal responsible governance, and I am proud to be endorsed by Councilmember Paul Koch and Mayor Julia Johnson. I've worked with anyone and everyone who wants to make Sedro-Woolley a better place to live, work, and play. Because of that approach, I've earned support from both sides of the aisle, and I am proud to be endorsed by former Commissioner Ted Anderson and current Commissioner Lisa Janicki. To my knowledge, I'm the only council member and candidate who has completed over 60 hours of training to achieve the Advanced Certificate of Municipal Leadership from the Association of Washington Cities. That training has given me a strong understanding of how cities function, how we interact with county and state governments, and how we can tap into programs that help our community thrive. My wife and I volunteer regularly with the Sedro-Woolley Lions Club. I serve as a log rodeo grand parade foreman, volunteer with my church, and chair the board for Helping Hands Food Bank. I'm just a regular guy who shows up, works hard, and puts our community first. I hope you'll choose to support my re-election. Thank you, everyone, for your time, and I really appreciate the League of Women Voters. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl DeYoung.
I'm offering clear steps that you can check. No loopholes to raise property taxes over 1% without your vote. A monthly city checkbook, a 120-day permit clock with fee refunds, an 18-month permit-free holiday for small backyard homes, a paving map by July 1st, and strict safety rules for any big battery. I'll post my votes in plain words and meet you where you're comfortable on your schedule. I'm running to be the builder of trust, good process, and results you can see. The lid lift, budget votes in public, plain English briefs, and a phone number that connects to me personally. Thank you, League of Women Voters, for hosting, and thank you everyone here for being part of the forum. And I'd be honored to have your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicholas Lavaca.
Thank you very much. When I think about Sedro-Woolley, Emily Dickinson had a poem out, and you guys have probably read this, but beauty is not caused, it is. And I think that's what Sedro-Woolley is. We're not out there causing this change. We're not out causing Sedro-Woolley to be beautiful. It is. Whether this council's here or the council before or the next council to come. Whether we face the spotted owl and the lumber industry goes or the mill deteriorates or we end up with new innovations and new companies. We are Sedro-Woolley. It's what we do. It's who we are. And it's been just such an awesome blessing to be a part of this council, to be a part of this city, and I know that we're going to see effective change. We are fiscally responsible, as said. That's in part the executive branch and the council. They might not always see eye to eye, and there may be some friction in there. But what has that done? It's created a balanced budget. A budget I feel is a little too tight, but there are communities that are way in a deficit. Mount Vernon is dealing with the $6 million budget deficit. We see that the county itself has a $20 million deficit. So when we see these huge deficits, even in other communities, not just those, we see what is going on and what are we doing to fix that. The best thing to do is not get in that challenge. So we got to have that tension. We've got to have some reasonable thought process, and we've all got to evaluate what's in front of us and represent our constituents. I think the council has done a great job. I hope to continue to be on that council and see another 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, candidates. Let's give them a round of applause. You are dismissed. Thank you. We are going to move on to the school director positions. Just to remind everyone, School District Director, District 1, Jim Callio, Brent Shufflebean, District 3, Michelle Moser and Tom Taylor, and Director, District 4, Ashley Johnson, Brad Worley, and District 5, Eric Johnson and Becky Taft. If you guys want to start making your way up. Did I mispronounce it? Thank you. Schiefelbein. Kind of like my last name. Is it Litton or Lighton? The retired teacher helped me with that. Okay, I think we are ready to get started. Is that right? 1, 2. Yes. Okay, a minute and a half for opening statements, and we'll start with Jim Callio.
Yeah, my name is Jim Callio. I'm running for the District 1 position on the Sedro-Woolley School Board. I previously served for 20 years on the board, from 1997 to 2017. And we started getting a outside influence a couple years ago, and I started thinking about coming back. And then when the things happened this spring that cost the district close to $500,000, I said that's enough. And I think we've lost the focus on student achievement, and we've gotten too worked into outside issues, and I think the focus has to be back on getting every kid in this district a quality education. Let's put all the divisiveness away, get everybody back aiming at the same target, and give these kids a chance. They're still struggling from what went on in COVID. They lost a year and a half of class time. And if we just need to put the focus back on the classroom. Thanks.
Thank you. Michelle Moser for an opening statement.
My name is Michelle Moser. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for having us tonight. It's wonderful to be able to speak to all of you tonight, and thank you for being here. Unfortunately, we're down 12-2. We're dang. Anyway. My husband, Michael, and I have raised 4 kids in the Sedro-Woolley schools. I've been a pharmacist for 38 years. I actually worked at Holland Drug for a number of years and loved it. Randy Eldey took a chance on me back in 1999, and I'm very thankful for that. I've been able to connect with the community through a wide variety of organizations. I was a Big Lake Parent Group member and secretary for, oh my gosh, a long time. We also I joined the Cascade Middle School parent group as well as the high school parent group. So being involved has been very important to me. I'm currently retired-ish. I'm not practicing as a pharmacist right now, but I am working really hard to make sure that our community stays strong and healthy. So I bake bread and energy cookies for the local food bank, and back on the hospice board, as well as looking forward to encouraging and growing Sedro-Woolley schools so that my grandkids that are coming up, they live 3 blocks behind us, will have a wonderful education just as my husband did. and as our 4 kids did. I'm an import. I was brought in to dilute the gene pool.
Thank you. And I'm going to read a statement from Brad Worley, who submitted a statement. Hi, all. I'm Brad Worley. I'm running for Sedro-Woolley School Board District 4. I currently have a daughter in the 6th grade. She is struggling with the basics. I have noticed a decline in the education system. It's not okay. I can and will fight for my daughter, but what about her peers that don't have anyone to fight for them? I want to be their voice. Every student deserves the best education and should be ready for a university at graduation, whether they want to continue their education or not. I believe it is the district's job to get them there. My focus will be on student success. I will focus first and foremost on education and instilling programs to support the success of all students. Smart spending. I will make sure tax dollars are spent wisely, using the funds where they can be have the most impact on student success. Community involvement. I believe it is imperative that parents, teachers, and the community work together and all voices are heard. Thank you. Let's work together and set up every child in Sedro-Woolley for success. Vote Brad Worley for school board. And Eric Johnson, your turn for an opening statement.
Thank you. And thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting us tonight. This is a great turnout, especially considering the Mariners are in the playoffs here. My name's Eric. I have served on the Sedro-Woolley School Board for the past 2 terms, and I'm seeking a 3rd term, if I should be so honored to have that opportunity. I am a Rule 9 licensed legal intern at Stiles & Layer. That's just a fancy way of saying that I'm kind of an embryo attorney, and I should become an attorney here come early next year. And I just graduated from that program through the Bar Association. I graduated with a BA in Government Public Policy back in Virginia. I served on Capitol Hill for a senator for a while, and I got sick of it and wanted to go home. I realized that if change was to happen, change is going to happen at the local level. So I packed up my Honda and drove out here and got involved. I served 13 years on the Sedro-Woolley Planning Commission. I've been a part of Rotary. I'm on the board for Boys and Girls Club, and then I've spent the last 8 years serving on the Sedro-Woolley School Board. It's been an honor. It's been a challenge. There's been a lot of sleepless nights, but in the end, it's all worth it because it's all for the kids.
Thank you. Becky Taft.
I'm Becky Taft, and I moved into the Sedro-Woolley School District in 1983 and started having children here. So I raised twins through the school district, graduated in 2003, started in 1990 as a volunteer in their kindergarten classroom. I still volunteer with the volleyball team for the last 26 years, so I have stayed very connected. I've served on the levy committee as treasurer for 2 different eras. They weren't just years, but eras that I was involved. But I also put my name out there, stepped up 7 months ago to be appointed and to hold this position, and I love what I've been able to do. I'm trying to bring common sense into some of the things that happen in our district and to really look at, I know people are passionate about certain issues, but we need to be respectful and we need to see there's different perception when something happens. That as a employee in this city at Banner Bank, I've been there 31 years, and I know a person's perception really dictates how they look and how things happen. And we have to make sure that it's a clear, easy perception of what we're doing at the district that's educating the kids in the best possible way.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the question and answer. First question. In Washington State, the law mandates that public schools must provide education to all children residing within the state's borders, regardless of their immigration or citizenship status. Do you support this law? Please explain. And we'll start with Michelle Moser.
People of our community live and reside here for a really good reason, and that's because it is a wonderful place to be. Regardless of their background, we need to make sure that all citizens are being treated with respect and with honor so that they can grow and contribute back to the community. What I find very interesting is that many people who are educated here in Sedro-Woolley School District may go away for college, they may go away for other experience, but a lot of them come back. And there's a reason for that. It's because it's a tremendous place. The community steps up in times of concern. The community steps up when there's times of tragedy. And that doesn't happen just everywhere. But we need to educate our neighbors, we need to educate ourselves, and we need to make sure that this is a good quality education that is not only productive for today's needs, but is also going to produce relevance and education so that our students can grow and bring back to the community so that this community can continue to be strong and continue to be relevant for the future.
Thank you. Eric Johnson.
Yes, I support the law. That's kind of why I chose law as my chosen profession. Is I respect the law. I believe in the law. The law isn't always right, and that's why we have the court system. But the law as it stands, I would fully support it. Public education is here to provide an equal playing field for everybody. It doesn't matter who the child is. They shouldn't have to worry about what their socio-demographics are, who their mom and dad are, what part of town they come from. Kids need a safe place to get an education. It's the great equalizer of our time. And so I'm here to provide that opportunity for kids so that they can come to school, that they can have meals, that they can have opportunities, and that they can get a great education, and they can go out and make something of themselves, and they can choose to stay here or go elsewhere. Our job as a school board is to uphold the law and to provide for our children what they need for their future.
Thank you. Becky Taft.
I really believe that the Sedro-Woolley School District is always been a mixed pot, that we've brought together people from all ethnic backgrounds and all levels of income and brought them together to make sure that each kid gets a golden opportunity to do their best in the classroom and to have the opportunity to step forward into any other opportunity that they want. I've seen with the CTE programs that my Seroptimus group supports what chances these kids are getting that some of us would only have imagined when we were going to high school to get a chance to work in fields like veterinary clinics and things like that that weren't offered for us. Some of us in the ages, you could either be a nurse, a teacher, or a homemaker. And now there's so many things a woman could be now, and the kids need to know that they can reach for the stars. So yes, I believe each kid should have an opportunity to participate in whatever's out there. And I think Latinos in Action group at the high school has really shown to teach the kids that they need to work together and create one community, and not any other way.
Thank you. Jim Collio.
I think personally, whether I agree with the law or not is not important. It's not the issue. The issue is when you become a school board member, you take an oath that you're going to give these kids an education. And so it doesn't matter what my personal feelings are. I have an obligation to make sure that every child that enters the property of our school district has the same opportunity as any other kid. It doesn't matter where they come from, what they look like, anything. Every kid gets the same chance, and they need to feel safe doing it. They need to want to go to school, so we need to make schools a place where everybody can come, everybody feels safe, everybody gets the same opportunity. I grew up as one of those kids that didn't get the opportunities, and so I really fight for that. And it has always been my mantra my entire time on the board is every kid gets the same chance. And if you're not doing that, then you shouldn't be there. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, next question. What are 2 goals you would propose for the superintendent, and how would you ensure accountability of those goals? And we'll start with Eric Johnson.
2 goals that I would set for our next superintendent are, 1, continuing to get our test scores up. With COVID, there was significant learning loss, both within academics, but also social emotional. And we've seen a great deal of behavioral problems that have come out of that. We've also seen test scores drop. But over the course of the past few years since COVID, since we've been able to get back into the classroom, we've slowly but surely been seeing those test scores go up. And through the implementation of our multi-tier systems of support, we've been able to provide more one-on-one or group support for kids, and we've been able to see some of those SBAC scores go up. Just last night, or 2 nights ago, we just had a meeting up at Samish Elementary where they've done a phenomenal job over the past 3 years of being way below the state average, and now they're above the state average in math, reading, and science. So we want to continue on with that trend. So first of all is the test scores. Let's get the focus back in the classroom. Let's get the teachers the supports that they need. But then also the other thing that I want to focus on with the next superintendent is safety and doing a comprehensive review of our safety policies and protocols and get that up to snuff.
Thank you. Becky Taft, same question.
2 goals I'd like to see with our next superintendent is the connection to the community, to be an open community availability to connect and to be able to keep the path open between what the community thinks and needs and what the school district required to do. It's really important that that person connect in the community, and so that we know that the communication go back and forth from the board into what happens. But it's also a quality of leadership, the rest, because this person is just one person, but it's a whole leadership team needs to work together and communicate and make things happen. So test scores can be improved, and those tools are there for all the school district to work together. And when something is working, like up at Samish, that they need to learn to share that information with other buildings so that even though it's small and mighty, it can go forward and grow to even the bigger schools that we have. And we all sit in a little different location as far as the kids that are in the classroom, but we all have the same mission. They all need to walk across that graduation stage and shake our hands and be the next city councilman or the next school board.
Thank you. Jim Callio, same question. I sure will. What are 2 goals you would propose for the superintendent, and how would you ensure accountability of those goals?
The first goal would be to put the focus back on classroom getting more out of the classroom. We have to get the focus back on the classroom. And the second one would be to build a relationship with the community and the staff so that our district is a good place to be. And if you do that, it will, everything will work a lot better. Small communities like we live in, the school district is a huge part of the community, and we have to work together. So the superintendent has to work and build a relationship with the community. I was lucky enough to hire 2 superintendents. They were both very successful here. They both retired here, and they still live here, and they're still active in the community. So I think that is a huge part.
Thank you. Michelle Moser, same question.
One thing I learned as a business owner, well, we've owned a child care center for 29 years and having a pharmacy for 12 years, is that having an internal culture that starts from the top down. So I would want the superintendent to build a culture in which staff felt safe to bring a variety of issues forward so that those issues could be worked on and resolved. But once you build a culture that is nurturing, caring, and understanding, that will then trickle down to the kids, and they will feel safer, and they will feel like it's a great place to come to be educated. But they will also feel a sense of family, which is very important. That will then trickle out to the families, and the families will feel better connection with that superintendent as well. In order for all of this to happen, there needs to be some transparency and there needs to be a plan. And sometimes we need to speak with others that have come before us to ensure that we're able to put this in place and develop it and move it forward. It's really important that the superintendent not only hear from the community as to what their goals are for these next leaders that are coming up through the schools, but also to connect and build that culture from the outside in as well as the inside out.
Thank you. Okay, our third question, how will you work to protect intellectual freedom and freedom of speech in schools and libraries? And Becky Taft, you get to go first.
Freedom of speech and freedom of literacy are a lot of things that are perceived in different ways. It's just making sure that respect and courtesies and kindness is built into this, because we as a community need to learn how to let others speak and have different opinions and be willing to let people have their passions. And I know a lot of people are strong passions about one thing or another, but we as a community need to welcome everyone as equals. So they do have the right for the speech and stuff, but it has to be done respectfully and with kindness. And that's the biggest thing that I see we're lacking, and that we're not getting the kids to understand that speech is also a privilege, you know, that you need to really be careful and use it respectfully.
Thank you. Jim Callio, same question.
Repeat it again.
Certainly will. How will you work to protect intellectual freedom and freedom of speech in schools and libraries?
Well, I think that's an American right. It's part of our laws, and there's already rules in place. If someone has something that they don't want their children access to, there's ways of accommodating that. But to create an atmosphere where you're denying everybody access to certain literature or whatever, I don't think is the right way. And the same thing, freedom of speech, you have to let it be. But with social media, with the way it is now, you have to be really careful, and it has to be monitored. Things can get out of hand really fast, and kids can get hurt emotionally, and it's just, you have to make kids safe. And so you've got to monitor it, but you can't put a cover over it. So.
Thank you. Michelle Moser, same question.
When you have a culture that is surrounding a student or a variety of students that is nurturing and caring, a lot of times you see freedoms explore different areas. And what I mean by that is that when someone feels comfortable in an environment, their ability to create and be creative really expands. We need to make sure that as that expands, that with differences that arise, that we acknowledge that we listen, and we listen well. It's okay to be different, and it's okay to have a different perspective on a variety of issues. That doesn't mean that we have to be enemies. And I think kids need to be shown that. I think social media gets in the way quite a bit of the time. And also, so does parent expectation as well as community expectation. And that doesn't mean that it's wrong, it just needs to be listened to, but it needs to be embraced, and we need to listen to all sides. So I think we need some transparency, we need some good communication, and we need accountability for those actions so that we can show the kids how to behave and how to conduct themselves when they move forward into our communities.
Thank you. Eric Johnson, same question.
So I gotta say, I've been shocked and impressed by the fact that when my son comes home from school, he talks about that he and his friends have had debates about Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump and ICE. And mind you, he's a 6th grader. He's 11 years old. And that just blows my mind that kids are having those conversations on their own. And so proud of him. As far as like politics in the classroom, I think that's probably part of where this comes from. You know, I think that politics should probably, for the most part, stay out of the lower grades. And I think that should be more of a secondary education kind of discussion. When you get to a certain age in high school, you start to really formulate your own thoughts and your own opinions, and you know, you've had opportunity to be exposed to your parents and your family values, but it's your opportunity to really expand your wings and take flight. And so I think that, you know, we should definitely have a strong civics program in the high school where it's done in an environment that's safe for all students, no matter what your background or what your political feelings are, and so that you can have open discussions and dialogues. But as far as the libraries are concerned, I definitely think it should be age appropriate, so there should be a difference again between elementary and high school level materials.
Thank you. Okay, our final question. For many years, Sedro-Woolley School District has been rated as one of the best in Skagit County. That changed this past year, and the Educational Service District needed to step into the board functions. If elected, what actions do you plan to bring to the board to make a well-organized and functioning body so the focus can return to the students and help them gain the ability to be responsible adults with good critical thinking skills? We'll start with Jim Callio.
I think it comes down to leadership. When I was on the board, I worked with 13 different board members in my 20 years, and I was elected as the board president the last 13 years I was on the board by my constituents. And the reason for that is because I could get people to work together. You have 5 people. They all have different opinions, but you got to come to a conclusion. And that's what I think we've lost in the last couple of years, and that is my focus, is to get that back so that we're all working together and get back on the same page and put the focus where it belongs. And it can be done. You just have to build relationships and understand that everybody has a separate opinion, but when you come to a consensus, everybody has to back it, and you can't have divisiveness. So, thanks.
Thank you. Same question, Michelle Moser.
I was appointed to the board in April after Danny Baird Russell resigned in January. She had been on the board for quite some time, and she left for a lot of reasons. In my mind, when you're sitting on the school board, you represent everyone in the district. Your personal agendas need to be set aside. There are 5 people on the board. We need to work together. That doesn't mean we have to have dinner every Friday night. We don't have to be best buddies, but we do need to treat each other with respect, and we need to work together to support and represent the communities in which we live and the students in which we are serving. This is, there shouldn't be personal agendas in this situation. Transparency is absolutely critical. It's important to understand where the community is coming from, where the staff is coming from, so that we can ensure that we are serving everyone to our best ability. And that means to communicate with our other board members, understand them, and if we don't understand them, ask good relevant questions and keep going with open communication.
Thank you. Eric Johnson, same question.
Can you repeat the question?
I sure will. For many years, Sedro-Woolley School District has been rated as one of the best in Skagit County. That changed this past year, and the Educational Service District needed to step into the board functions. If elected, what actions do you plan to bring to the board to make a well-organized and functioning body so the focus can return to the students and help them gain the ability to be responsible adults with good critical thinking skills?
Yeah, so as far as the, board resignations, both of those board members came to me right before they submitted their resignations and explained the reasons why, and it was entirely personal. It had nothing to do with politics, 100%. I'm going on the record here and saying that, and I respect them for their decisions. They had their well-reasoned decisions. I would agree with both Jim and Shelley that leadership and communication are the foundations for getting us back on track. We've been working hard to make sure that various avenues of communication are out there and that they're proper avenues of communication, because not every avenue of education or of communication works for everybody. So we've been soliciting, requesting those sorts of avenues and ideas, and have been working with the school district to try to make that happen, because I think an open policy, a culture of no surprises is key to that. But it all comes down to leadership, modeling that leadership, being the kind of servant leader that we want in our community. We just need to step up, check our personal agendas at the door, and remember that there's only one agenda, there's only one issue that matters, and that's the kids.
Thank you. Becky Taft, same question.
I really feel that the first thing we need to do is start showing up in the community, showing up at the schools, and learning to what some of the challenges might be. Every classroom is different. I, had two children born on the same day. One was kinesthetic and one was a visual learner, so they couldn't survive in the same classroom and get to where they are today. So I know there's different avenues and different ways we teach to kids, and parents need to know that they can be an advocate for what their children's needs are. I showed up at junior high and I picked his teachers because I knew in order for my son to be a success, he needed the right environment to live in. And Sedro-Woolley School District has that environment for every kid, as long as the parents do advocate and that the teachers will advocate for kids that struggle. So I think it's very important that we communicate with the schools, the teachers, and the parents to know what's going on. People being accountable to taking ownership in their child's education is not what we would love to see, but I think there's different individuals in this community that will step it up and be that advocate for all the kids, that they all be able to get that education and step into a field. It may not be a college degree, but in a field of action so they can be an automotive teacher one day because of the work they did.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move to closing statements, and you have a minute and a half for that. And sorry, we'll begin with Michelle Moser.
I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight and being here just to listen and allow us the opportunity to share our beliefs with how we want to move forward. It's an interesting time. We go to board meetings and there's very interesting things happening at board meetings, but it is very encouraging to be in the schools and in the classrooms, talking with the different educators, talking with administration, and even talking with parents and even the kids. When I come home from visiting schools, it is just a wonderful feeling to know that we are on the right track and that we're building. It's time to get those graduation rates up a little bit higher than where they're at, and we're doing that together as a community. I've seen support from 3 of the 4 previous superintendents, and they've given me advice and given me really good information to go forward. I'm really hoping to use that information, and hopefully I'll be reelected into this position. And I'm really looking forward to serving so that we can make sure that Sedro-Woolley schools are the best that they absolutely can be, but that our staff is feeling that this is the best place to work as well.
Thank you. Eric Johnson.
Good leadership is about showing up no matter what. As a public servant, you don't simply sign up to lead during the good times. You sign up to lead during the hard times as well. You serve as a steadying force in turbulent times. You serve as a proactive listener to those who have concerns, and you're an encourager to those who need it, and you're consistent in your vision to provide a path forward. Good school board directors also work to ensure that values and needs of the community are reflected in our schools. This is what I've done over the course of my term on the board, and that is what I will continue to do for this district. I work every day to serve our students, the district, and the community. It's been one of my greatest joys in life to do, and I consider it a privilege. My goal is to help create a learning environment where all students feel supported, challenged, and inspired to achieve their maximum potential. I firmly believe in serving a greater cause than oneself, and for me, that is the students. And I would consider it an honor to be given an opportunity to be a school board director for another 4 years. I appreciate your consideration, your vote, and I thank the League of Women Voters for hosting us tonight to be able to share a little bit about ourselves.
Thank you. Becky Taft for a closing statement.
I believe in the 7 months I've sat in those board meetings and participated in many different avenues of what the district has. My history is attending board meetings when my kids were in high school, when Jim was on the board and many others. I just made them accountable. That's why we show up, to make the board accountable, to listen to what's going on in your district, and to know what your children are being offered. I was able to get extra, the presentations they give, extra insight on things that my kids were offered in high school that you would never known had you not just showed up, and that's why it's very important. The biggest gratitude that I have about my 7 months was standing on that stage and watching those kids walk across and smiling my little face off and saying, thank you, thanks for doing this and letting us show that we do make a difference. I think in Ward District 5, you don't have a bad choice. I just think it's a tough choice because Eric is a fabulous leader and he's done a great job. He just moved is his only downfall. But I think you've got a great choice for District 5, either way.
Thank you. Jim Callio.
Yes, my goal in running again, I never dreamed I'd be doing this again at this age, but my goal is to get us back where we were a few years ago. I worked with a whole bunch of people who dedicated a ton of time to make this district a great place. School systems are set up for the middle, but we increased classes for the CTE program, the AP program. We started AVID for kids that had never gone to college, and we raised the graduation rate. We brought in specialists to help kids that were falling behind to get them back on track. And the focus is all 100% on the kids. And that's what I want to see again. I graduated from school here. My 4 kids went K-12 to Sedro-Woolley. I've got, 4 now, 1 just graduated. Grandkids in the district. I want to see this place again to be, if not the best district in this area, the best district in the state, and I want people to want to bring their kids here, and we can get there. Thanks.
Yep, thank you. Let's give the candidates a round of applause. Just a couple things to say. Please remember to vote on or before November 4th. In the August primary, 294 votes in Skagit County alone were disqualified because they weren't placed in the ballot boxes before 8 p.m. or were mailed too late. If using the U.S. mail, U.S. Post Office recommends that you mail the week before Election Day. And that concludes the forum. Thanks, everyone, for coming out.